So I know that I can use pi over 4, another way of saying that in radian measure. Pi over 4 minus 30 degrees, which is pi over 6, would get me what I want. So I'm going to let angle A be equal to pi over 4, and I'm going to let angle B set that equal to pi over 6. And I'm going to use this version of the formula that I'm going to highlight, cos A minus B, because remember, we're trying to find the exact value of a cosine. And now I'm going to just substitute all that information into the corresponding formula. So I know that cos pi over 12 is going to be equal to cosine of pi over 4 minus pi over 6, which is going to be equivalent to, and the next step is really important, cosine of pi over 4 cosine multiplied by cosine of pi over 6, because I have cos A times cos B, plus, even though it's A minus B, the in-between is an addition sign, sine pi over 4 times sine pi over 6. You need this step in order to set up your formula correctly. So now we can plug in all the exact values that we know from our special triangles. And again, you have to memorize this and know how to draw your special triangles in order to come up with the next line. But I know that cosine of pi over 4 is 1 over root 2. Cosine of pi over 6 is the same as root 3 over 2. Sine of pi over 4 is 1 over root 2. And sine of pi over 6 is 1/2. So now we multiply our values together, and you're going to get the first two values are root 3 over 2 root 2 plus 1 times 1 is 1 over 2 root 2. Now the whole reason you learned a whole unit or 2 units in MHF4U on radicals is so that when you came to trigonometry and figuring out exact values in trigonometry, you'd know what to do. In this case, I have a common denominator, so this simplifies to 1 plus root 3 over the common denominator of 2 root 2. Now, can someone tell me why I cannot leave my answer like this? What do I have to do now? Think back to your MCR days. What is wrong with this question? Specifically, what's wrong with the denominator? Anyone know? No one knows what's wrong in the denominator? Are you allowed to have a radical in the denominator? No. And in order to get rid of that, no one's looking at me, what do? What is it called? To rationalize the denominator. So we have to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by root 2 over root 2. And when you do that, that gets rid of our denominator, and we're left with root 2 plus root 6 over 4. And that's the exact value of cosine pi over 12. Which answers the question, we know all the exact values of the special triangles, but in order to get the other degree measures that don't have a corresponding special triangle, you have to use these formulas, specifically the compound angle formulas, to figure out the exact value of other degree measures. Let's stick with cosine, but let's do something else, and then we're going to move on to a new set of of formulas. So we're going to stick with compound angle formulas, and I'm still going to stick with my subtraction sign, but this time we're going to find the exact value of cosine 5 pi over 12. So 5 pi over 12 is equivalent to 75 degrees. This one is a little bit tricky because I can't just subtract 60 minus 30 or 45. I can't play with those values to get 75 degrees. So I have to be a little bit more creative. I know that 2 times 60 degrees minus 45 degrees is going to be equal to 75 degrees. Sometimes you have to multiply one of the special angles by a constant in order to figure out what you're, or try to generate what you're trying to achieve. So, 2 times 60 degrees is the same as saying 120 degrees, right? So I'm going to let my angle A, let A be represented by 2 pi over 3. And I'm going to let B be represented by pi over 4. So notice I'm not saying 2 times, 2 times pi over 3, 60 degrees, which generates 2 pi over 3. And now I'm going to substitute it into the corresponding formula. So I have same formula as before, cos of 2 pi over 3 multiplied by cos of pi over 4 and we're going to add that to the sine of 2 pi over 3 multiplied by the sine of pi over 4. So that's going to be equal to negative 1/2 multiplied by 1 over root 2 plus sine of 2 pi over 3 is root 3 over 2 multiplied by 1 over root 2, which is equal to negative 1 plus root 3 over 2 root 2. And notice to rationalize the denominator, I do not have to multiply by 2 root 2. I'm just multiplying the numerator and the denominator by whatever the radical is, in this case root 2, in order to get a final answer of negative root 2 plus root 6 all over 4. Okay, everyone understands this? So the trick is going to be figuring out what formula to use. When they're asking you to find the exact value of cosine, you're going to stick with the cosine formula. If they're asking you to find the exact value of a tan measure, you're going to stick with the tan formulas. And in the part B of the seminar, I'll do some more complicated ones. I just want to set up these ones first.